Well, good morning, College Heights. Let's come on in and let's worship together. We worship the God who was. We worship the God who is. We worship the God who evermore will be. He opened the prison doors. He parted the raging sea. My God, He holds the victory. Yeah. There's joy in the house of the Lord. There's joy in the house of the Lord today. But we won't be quiet. Shout out your praise. There's joy in the house of the Lord. Our God is surely in this place. But we won't be quiet. Shout out your praise. To the God who saves, we sing to the God who always makes a way. 'Cause He hung up on that cross and He rose up from that grave. My God still rolls the storms away. There's joy in the house of the Lord. There's joy in the house of the Lord today. We won't be quiet. Shout out. There's joy in the house of the Lord. Our God is surely in this place. We won't be quiet. Shout out your praise. 'Cause we were the beggars, now we're royalty. We were the prisoners, now we're running free. We were forgiven, accepted, redeemed by His grace. Let the house of the Lord sing praise. Sing it again. 'Cause we were the beggars, now we're royalty. We were the prisoners, now we're running free. We are forgiven, accepted, redeemed by His grace. The house of the Lord sing praise. There's joy in the house of the Lord. There's joy in the house of the Lord today. And we won't be quiet. No. Shout out your praise. There's joy in the house of the Lord. Our God is surely in this place. We won't be quiet. Oh, shout out your praise. There's joy in the house of the Lord. There's joy in the house of the Lord today. We won't be quiet. Shout out your praise. There's joy in the house of the Lord. Our God is surely in this place. We won't be quiet. Oh, we're gonna shout out your praise. We're gonna shout out. There's joy in the house. Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna shout out your praise. Yeah. We're gonna shout out your praise. Amen. All right. I'm so glad to be here with you this morning. You guys doing all right? All right, let's keep worshiping God and let's keep singing. Do you see what I see? Do you see what I see? I see lightning, I hear thunder. Sing it out this morning. Something stirring 6 feet under. Dead things coming back to life again. I believe there's about to be another resurrection. Something to get excited about. I see signs and I see wonders. I see birds of living color. things coming back to life again. I believe there's about to be another resurrection. Wake up, sleeper. He is risen. We are risen with him. Hallelujah, it is finished. See the grave, nobody in it. Death is coming back to life again. I believe there's about to be another resurrection. Come alive, wake up, sleeper. He is risen. We are risen with him. Paradise flung wide open. He is risen. We are risen with him. Alive. Sing it. Wake up, sleeper. He is risen. We are risen with him. Paradise flung wide open. He is risen. We are risen with him.
Let's get your hands together.
Let's pick it up, church. If you see what I see, that the grave is empty, then you know what I know. Anything is possible. Do you see what I see? That the grave is empty, and you know what I know. Anything is possible. Do you see what I see? Do you see what I see? Do you see what I see? I see signs and I see wonders. Do you see what I see? I see lightning, I hear thunder. Do you see what I see? Something stirring 6 feet under. Do you see what I see? Come alive, wake up, sleeper. He is risen. We are risen with him. Paradise flung wide open. He is risen. We are risen with him.
Good morning, church. Good morning. Welcome to everyone that's joining us online, and welcome to all of you beautiful people. Are you enjoying the fall weather? Who's grieving the loss of summer still? I am, I'm gonna be honest. But it's a beautiful fall day. We're glad and happy that you are with us. If you would, go ahead and get out your phone if you are new and you would like more information about College Heights. You can text this phone number, it's on the screen, 417-281-3974. I'll say it again, 417-281-3974. You're gonna connect with our Connections Minister, Ashley. She has a gift for you just to say thanks for hanging with us today. I've got a few more announcements for you. On October 23rd, we're gonna have a College Heights Connect, which is basically a chance for you to meet some of the staff here, see what College Heights is all about. There will be food. Parents, there will be child care. Yes, and all the parents said, amen. You can register for this event at chjoplin.org/register. Another event that you don't even have to register for is the after party on October the 30th. There will be chili, there will be games, there will be people. It's going to be a great time. You don't want to miss it. And it will follow immediately after service is over on October the 30th. The next thing is our time of giving. This is a chance for us to be a part of God's work. College Heights partners with organizations and missions all over the world, all over our little community right here in Joplin. So when you give your finances, your dollars, your tithe, your offering, it really does make a difference for these people that are right here in our own community, across the nation, and across the world. That's your chance to be a part. Even if you're not able to go and help with these organizations, your dollars do matter. You can give 4 ways here at College Heights. Number 1, you can give on your Church Center app. If you're not on Church Center app, I'm going to give it a plug. Get on it. That's how you can register and see all of the events coming up. The second way is through the website. The third way are through the black boxes in the back of the room. And the fourth way is snail mail. Send your checks right on down to the church office. They will accept it all. If you would, the last thing we're going to do this morning is stand for our reading. If you are able, we are going to be reading out of Matthew 12. We're going to read Matthew 12:38 through 45. If you have your handy-dandy Matthew journals, you can get those out too. Then some of the scribes and the Pharisees answered him, saying, "Teacher, we wish to see a sign from you." But he answered them, An evil and adulterous generation seeks a sign, but no sign will be given to it except the sign of the prophet Jonah. For just as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the great fish, so will the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. The men of Nineveh will rise up at the judgment with this generation and condemn it. For they repented at the preaching of Jonah, and behold, something greater than Jonah is here. The queen of the south will rise up at the judgment with this generation and condemn it. For she came from the ends of the earth to hear wisdom of Solomon, and behold, something greater than Solomon is here. When the unclean spirit has gone out of a person, it passes through waterless places seeking rest, but finds none. Then it says, "I will return to my house from which I came." And when it comes, it finds the house empty, swept, and put in order. Then it goes and brings with it 7 other spirits more evil than itself, and they enter and dwell there. And the last state of that person is worse than the first. So also will it be with this evil generation. This is the word of the Lord.
You may have a seat. Thanks so much for being here today. It's great to worship with you all. My name is Cy Huffer. I'm the lead minister here at College Heights, and I am not preaching today. I actually get to introduce our guest preacher. His name is Dr. Jonathan Lyonhart. John is one of my best friends. We met at Ozark Christian College together. We actually had the same youth pastor, kind of crazy, me in Muskogee, him in Vancouver, Canada. Imagine that. It's incredible how God works. But we became best friends. We were in each other's weddings. John went on after college to go to Regent University in Vancouver and get a master's degree in Christianity and culture. He then went on to Cambridge University to get a PhD in philosophy and theology of religion. And he now teaches at one of our sister colleges, Lincoln Christian University. He teaches theology and philosophy for their undergrad and graduate program. And he is the author of this book, Monotheism. I'm going to read the whole title to you. An absurdly arrogant attempt to answer all the problems of the last 2,000 years in one night at a pub. This is a fantastic book if you're having philosophical questions or crisis of faith. Pick up this book. It's a short read. It's a fun read, but it's a deep read. And John tackles tough issues in a fun way that helps keep you engaged. And I'm so excited to introduce him to you as he comes and preaches the last sermon in our series called Dead End. Real quick, one thing more I'll say. John's one of my best friends. He's a brother to me. And I would not be here today if it wasn't for him, the way his friendship has cared for me over the last 15 years. So thank you. Come on up and bring the word. Give him a College Heights welcome.
Sweat dripped down the African queen. Even though she did not have to walk like her soldiers or servants did, months in the desert sun had still taken its toll on her face, her hair, her skin. The journey to Jerusalem was over 4,000 miles after all. 4,000 miles through the Sahara Desert, sprinting from one oasis to the next in the hopes of making it before the African heat overtook them. The Queen of the South had left behind her African kingdom, left behind her comfortable throne, her baths and oils and daily routine, left it all behind to traipse through the desert to go and see the one they called Solomon, King of the Jews. The queen had heard that Solomon was the wisest man in the known world. Solomon had prayed to God for wisdom, and God had granted his prayer. God made Solomon wise and knowledgeable beyond measure. Solomon amassed great books and libraries and teachers and learned all there was to know about the heavens and the earth. Solomon became the wisest, smartest, most knowledgeable man that ever lived. And Solomon knew that God was the beginning of wisdom, that all argument, all reason, all evidence points back to and begins with God. And so the queen left everything behind to go and chase this holy wisdom in the north. And finally, after months on the road, she finally arrived at Solomon's kingdom. She arrived with sand filling every crack and crevice, yet her cup still empty and ready to be filled with wisdom. She brought with her camels carrying spices, gold, and precious stones. And she laid them all at the feet of King Solomon. And so the two of them talked. She brought up all that had been on her mind, and Solomon answered her questions. Nothing was too hard for the king to explain to her. He convinced her using philosophy and reason that the Jewish God was real and that he was the Lord of all. And the African queen saw the great palace, saw the plentiful food Solomon's people dined upon, the clothes that even the poorest servant in the city wore, the wealth of this prosperous nation Solomon's God and wisdom had built. And so the queen cried out, "Praise be to the Lord your God! Praise be to the Lord your God!" The African queen was willing to give up everything to go and get wisdom and knowledge and certainty about God. Willing to part with her gold and gifts, willing to leave her throne and go travel through the Sahara Desert in order to find out the truth about the Jewish God. The queen wanted someone who was wise in philosophy, reason, and wisdom to finally convince her that God is real. And I feel a lot like the Queen of the South. What did you learn in church today? The preacher said he feels like a strong black woman. But I do feel a lot like the Queen of the South. Ever since I was a kid, I've wanted someone to just finally stop quoting Bible verses at me and give me an actual argument to convince me that God is real. I don't want to just believe because I have some sort of spidey tingle in my heart. No, I want evidence, argument, facts, proof, justification, supports, references, fact checks. I want my religion to be rational, not ridiculous. I want my faith to be thought through, not thoughtless. I want church to be about the mind, not just the heart. I don't just want to believe God is real, I want to know it. I want the way of faith to be one of wisdom. I want you to give me a reason to believe in you. And like the Queen of the South, I was willing to travel thousands of miles to get it. Even after I finished at Ozark, I still had so many questions and doubts. I felt like I wasn't quite there yet, that if I really wanted to figure out if God was real or not, I needed to go to the very top. I needed to go to the highest centers of learning in the world. So I traveled thousands of miles in order to go and do my PhD at Cambridge University. And it was amazing. It was like going to Hogwarts. They actually filmed Harry Potter scenes at Oxford and Cambridge. I got to go hear lectures and talks with some of the most brilliant people in the world, like the late Stephen Hawking, Bill Gates, and the Archbishop of Canterbury. I met geniuses, literal geniuses, so smart that they sounded like robots. I became friends with one guy who basically sounds like Sheldon Cooper from the show The Big Bang Theory. He talks twice as fast as everyone else, and he knows everything about everything. And guess what? He's a Christian. That's right. There are Christian Sheldon Coopers. Those exist. They love God, country, physics, and trains. There really are geniuses out there whose great learning doesn't lead them away from God, but back to God. While I was at Cambridge, I got to meet a bunch of brilliant intellectuals who were Christian, and I got to read some of the most profound texts of philosophy and theology. Like the Queen of the South with Solomon, I got to see how reason and argument can point to God and make faith more rational. My faith grew in knowledge and wisdom. And yet my mind still did not feel at rest. The more I knew, the more I realized how little I know. The more I learned, the more I realized there was left to learn. It was just like chasing the horizon. It feels like you're getting closer, yet it recedes every time as you near it. I'd answered many of my intellectual doubts, but every time I answered one doubt, two more, like a hydra, took its place. Every time I rationally solved one issue for my faith, I discovered a whole host of other issues I hadn't even thought about before. Study did not give me confidence, but undermined my ability to say anything confidently at all. Conclusive proof was nowhere to be found. Rational certainty was a dead end. And that's not just true of faith, it's true of everything. We think we're certain about some things. This podium's here. You're over there. I'm certain about that, right? But let me tell you, the deeper you go into study and academics, the less certain anything feels at all. Did you know that most physicists think that our experience of time and space is an illusion? You might think you're moving forward in time, But Einstein showed that all of time and space already exists laid out in a block of cosmic space-time, and the distinction between past, present, and future is an illusion. In fact, Einstein was so confident about this that when one of his friends died, he consoled the mother by telling her that she had nothing to be sad about because time is an illusion, and so her son was no more dead now than he ever had been. He's one of those robot-sounding geniuses I was telling you about. So we can't even be rationally certain that time as we know it is real. And did you know that many scientists believe that the physical, three-dimensional world as we know it is an illusion, and we are actually a hologram existing on a two-dimensional surface? And I'm not going to unpack that. I'm not going to explain it. I'm just going to leave it right there for you to have nightmares about. So, how can we ever be rationally certain about God if we can't even be certain about our experience of time and space? How can I be certain that God is not an illusion if my three-dimensional experience of the physical world might itself be an illusion? That baby gets it. The more you dive into study, philosophy, history, science, the less you feel like you actually know anything. Study does not give you confidence. No, it undermines your ability to say anything confidently at all. And that's not just true of faith, it's kind of true of everything. It's true of time and space and our experience of the entire three-dimensional universe. Conclusive proof is nowhere to be found. Rational certainty is a dead end. And yet, it still feels like if you really wanted me to believe in you, God, you could just kind of show up right now and perform a miracle. Okay, I see what you're doing. I mean, perhaps we can't create some philosophical, scientific argument for God, but surely, if God really wanted us to be certain He's real, He could just kind of show up and wave His magic God wand and heal a disabled kid in front of me and pick up College Heights and move it 20 feet to the left or make a goat talk or anything. I'm really open. Everything we've been discussing so far is abstract and science and Einstein and philosophical and theoretical, but surely God could just show up and that would settle it. Lord, send me a sign. Give me a miracle. You do miracles and signs, don't you? You did a miracle for Jonah. A stinky, salty, half-digested, clam-baked miracle, but a miracle nonetheless. Jonah got swallowed by a whale and lived to tell the tale. 3 days and 3 nights he soaked in digestive fluids. He should have been dissolved into skeleton and bones, but he was unharmed. Jonah should have drowned in bile and seawater. He should have suffocated within the whale, within the ocean. But his lungs somehow remained full and thriving. Jonah should have been dead, but the whale spat him out on the 3rd day. God performed a miracle. He gave the Ninevites a sign, something that proved He's real, and that's the reason the Ninevites repented. Do the same for me as well. Send me a sign. Lord, give me a sign and I'll be signed, sealed, delivered. I'm yours. If you want me to believe, then just show up right now, do something supernatural, and I'll fall to my knees and worship you. Make a whale magically appear on this stage, and I will climb inside the sea beast. I'm ready to get salty, Lord. Send me a sign. This is the show me state, and I'm in a show me state of mind. Abracadabra, alakazam, give me a miracle, show me the money, give me a sign. And guess what? He actually did. God sent me a sign. Not right now in the middle of the sermon. I was 19, and I went on a missions trip with College Heights to Galveston. There had been a hurricane that destroyed lots of property and killed hundreds of people and homes, and I was part of a team that was going there after the wreckage. And just after we arrived, someone on our team found a dead body in the wreckage, so things were a bit tense. And we were all sleeping on mats in this school gymnasium, and I was sitting there, and suddenly something inside me started freaking out, and I heard inside my head an almost audible voice say, "Demon." And I froze, and I couldn't really move. And then a few seconds later, my friend walked into the room and said, "Jonathan, I think there's a demon in the hallway." So that freaked us out. And then a few nights later, I woke up at, I think it was like 3 a.m., and I had this crazy sense that someone was standing over my bed holding an axe inches away from my skull. And I was too terrified to open my eyes and check. I just sort of sat there squirming, not knowing what to do, terrified that if I opened my eyes, a demonic Gimli would be standing over me with his axe. And then out of nowhere, something in me just started praying, "God, God, God." And I felt safe again. And I opened my eyes, and as I did so, I heard another audible voice in my head, and it said, "Lance." My friend Lance was sleeping a few rows over, and I had this feeling that something dark and sinister was happening, like some presence was just hanging over him. So I got up, and I quietly went over to where Lance was sleeping without waking him. And I started praying over him, praying that if something was going on, that God would protect him. And I stood over him for about an hour while he slept. Not creepy at all. And the next morning, I went up to Lance and I said, "Hey, can I talk to you about something?" And Lance said, I don't want to talk about it right now. Give me some time." And I said, "Wait, what are you talking about?" Turns out that the night before, when Lance had entered the room, he suddenly felt this wall of darkness just hit him and push him down onto the ground. And he just laid there on the ground for 10 minutes until someone found him and helped him into bed. And then a few hours later was when I woke up and heard the voice telling me to go pray over Lance. Two more nights pass. The trip's almost over. And again, I woke up in the middle of the night. I probably should have been taking sleeping pills. But I woke up in the middle of the night and I went to the bathroom to get some water. And as I walked back towards my bed, I felt this wall of darkness closing in on me and just pushing me down into the floor, just like it had done with Lance. I started to collapse to the ground, and I began crying out to God to help me. And then out of nowhere, I don't know how to describe it, but this vibrating ball of light or something appeared before me. I know how that sounds, but that's what it looked like. It was a ball of shimmering, shining, sheer light appearing out of nowhere and just hanging midair before me, coming between me and the darkness. And then suddenly, the light rushed into my chest, knocking the wind out of me. And as the light's warmth spread through my body, the wall of darkness disappeared, and I felt this sense of joy and relief and peace and rest welling up within me. God had given me a sign. A physical manifestation that I could see and touch and feel. And I rode that spiritual high for a long time. I didn't doubt or question because now I knew that God was real. He gave me a sign just like he gave Jonah and the Ninevites. But it's been over a decade and a half since that happened. And I'll admit, my memory of that night isn't all that clear anymore. I forget details and I mix things up. And I was 19, after all. I was young and scared and in the middle of this natural disaster, surrounded by Christians who were interpreting everything that happened through the lens of demons and spiritual warfare. It's totally possible that I hallucinated the whole thing. That I was just young and susceptible and my mind saw things that weren't there. You know, we think we see something in the dark at night. Or we hear a creak in the house when no one's there, but it's just our mind playing tricks upon us. That kind of stuff happens all the time. That's Psychology 101. God sent me a sign, and honestly, I'm not sure I believe it anymore. You might think that if God would just send you a sign, then you would finally believe and turn your life around. But that's not how the human mind works. We can find a reason to doubt anything, even our own eyes. Signs are all well and good, but they cannot be the whole foundation for our faith. I got a sign like Jonah and the Ninevites, and yet still, I doubt. Still, I question. Still, my mind refuses to be at rest. Signs and miracles won't give us the certainty we think they will. Signs are a dead end. The Pharisees and teachers of the law asked for a sign, for proof, for a reason to believe Jesus. And Jesus said, a wicked and adulterous generation asks for a sign. And then he said, the men of Nineveh will rise up at the judgment with this generation and condemn it. For they repented at the preaching of Jonah, and behold, something greater than Jonah is here. The queen of the south will rise up at the judgment with this generation and condemn it. For she came from the ends of the earth to hear the wisdom of Solomon, and behold, Something greater than Solomon is here. In the past, the queen of the south and the Ninevites needed signs and wisdom because they had nothing else to go on. But now, something greater is here. Jesus. Who is here that is greater than Solomon's wisdom and Jonah's wail? Me, says Jesus. I'm here. I'm with you now. Stop looking for wisdom from men. Stop looking for some mysterious sign and start looking into my eyes. Stop trying to solve every last issue and answer the one question that actually matters. Do you trust me? Do you believe me? Do you believe I am who I say I am? At Cambridge, some of the most brilliant people in the world were Christians, and some of the most brilliant people in the world were atheists. So it's not like if you just study some more, you're going to figure out something they haven't and finally settle the issue once and for all. Even at the very top, no one can agree on anything. And you're probably not going to be able to evaluate these questions and doubts at the level they do. So at the end of the day, most of us kind of have to end up taking someone else's word for things because we don't have the time or energy or abilities to figure it out for ourselves. So whose word are you going to take? Who do you trust? Who do you believe? Hearing Jesus' words, listening to his story, does he sound like a liar to you? Does he sound like some conjurer of cheap tricks? Does he sound like a liar to you? Or has someone greater than Solomon arrived? Is someone greater than Jonah here? Now, reason and evidence and miracles and signs, those can be a good thing, a great thing. If God has given you a miraculous sign like the one he gave to me, that's amazing. Cherish that. And of course I care about wisdom and reason. I am literally a professor of philosophy and theology. I think there are some really good rational arguments for God. I think Christians should be more like Solomon. There is so much we should be learning that we're not. Like, go take an online course with me at Lincoln Christian University, and we'll look at all those reasons and arguments and evidence together. It doesn't matter how old you are or what stage of life you're in. It's never too late to learn and grow in wisdom. Christians should spend more time with study. We should spend more time with learning and evidence and reason and science and philosophy. But if you are looking for certainty, you won't find it there. Reason is good, but at the end of the day, reason can't tell you for sure whether time and space and our three-dimensional universe are real. And even if you did get a sign from God, that might sustain you for a while. But if you were full of doubts before you got a sign, you'll eventually be full of doubts again after you get a sign. So it's not that wisdom and philosophy and reason aren't good things. It's that someone greater than them is here. It's not that signs can't help point us to God. It's that we already have the one whom the signs were pointing to. You don't need to follow signposts for directions when you've already arrived where you need to go. It's not that snacks and appetizers aren't tasty. It's that the main course is served. It's not that dating and flirting can't be fun. It's that the person you were waiting to marry is finally here. Over a decade or so ago, I started dating a girl from College Heights. And we were long distance the whole time we were dating. I'd moved away for school, so I wasn't in the United States anymore. And I was plagued with doubts the whole time. I wouldn't see her for months at a time, and my mind would just become racked with anxiety and questions. How is this going to work? We're thousands of miles away. How's this going to work? I'm in grad school. I don't have a full-time job. I can't pay for a wedding or a honeymoon or a house. How's this going to work? She wants to go be a missionary, and I want to keep studying. How's this going to work? She wants to be near her family, and I want to be near my family, but we can't both be near our families. How's this going to work? She wants to have a huge family, and I want, maybe a dog. How is this going to work? I want to be right all the time, and she actually is. These College Heights girls. How is this going to work? Lord, send me a sign that she's the one, that this is what I'm supposed to do. How is this going to work? We're in different countries. I'm up in Canada and she's down here in the Midwest. How's this going to work? She wants a cat and I'm allergic to them. How's this going to work? I'm such a selfish jerk and I constantly say and do all the wrong things and I push people away. How's this going to work? She's so far away and I just can't see it. I just can't picture it. But then finally, the time comes. The bags are stowed, the plane soars for the sky, the wheels lower back down again for landing. I run to her, and she runs to me. And it's not that those questions don't matter anymore. They do, and at some point we will have to face them. It's not that those questions don't matter. It's that she's here now. It's that her smile and her joy and wit and brilliance trump everything else. It's that someone greater than my doubts has arrived. It's that I trust her to work with me to figure these issues out when the time comes. It's that I look in her eyes and I know she's the one. She tells me that everything is going to be okay. And I believe her. Perhaps that's why Jesus says it's an adulterous people who ask for a sign. Because we can go round and round with doubts and questions and evidence and reason and miracles and signs, but at the end of the day, it comes down to the strength of our relationship. It comes down to trust, intimacy, connection, to spending time with Jesus in prayer, reading, action, life. It comes down to looking Jesus in the eyes and deciding whether he's the one. Do I trust him or do I trust someone else? I'm not smart enough to figure this out for myself, so I'm going to trust someone. Am I going to trust him or am I going to trust someone else? Do I want to lie down and rest with him or in the bed of another? Do I find my truth in him or go wandering in the dark for another? I still have lots of doubts and questions. If God is real, why is there so much unnecessary suffering and pain in the world? Why is there so much violence in the Old Testament? How can God be three and one? How does the Trinity make sense? Why does God answer some prayers but not others? What about all these other religions? Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism. Does our God not care about those people too? There are so many questions, and as soon as I answer one, two more take its place. I'm overcome by anxiety and fear and exhaustion. I feel ready to give up everything and just abandon everything. But then I look at Jesus. I see him washing the feet of his disciples. I see him overturning the tables of the powerful. I see him refuse to even speak to King Herod because he doesn't care about title and position. I see him condemning the religious elite and loving prostitutes. I see him spending his time with foreigners, women, lepers, whores, and tax collectors. I see him in a racist, sexist Middle Eastern culture, yet telling stories in praise of African queens and foreign Ninevites. I see Jesus loving his enemies. I see him heal the ear of the soldier who came to arrest him. I see him on the cross praying for his murderers as they murder him. I see him witness the depravity of man and refuse to look away. I see him witness the depravity of man and take it upon himself instead of passing the buck. I see him seeing me in all my fears and failures and doubts, yet telling me it's going to be okay. I see him take our burdens upon himself and offer rest in return. I see him face death head on and swallow it whole. I see him declare that he makes all things new. And I believe him.
As we let Jonathan's words sit with us, would you join in singing this chorus with us? Jesus to give us faith. I may be weak, your spirit's strong in me. My flesh may fail, my God, you never will. 'Cause I may be weak, your spirit's strong in me. My flesh may fail, my God, you never will. Give me faith, trust what you say, that you're good and your love
trust what you say, that you're good, your love is great. I'm broken inside, I give you my life.
We're going to go ahead and take communion. I encourage you guys to pray together. Communion is supposed to be a group, not just individual. So let's come, let's take the bread, let's take the juice, let's remember what Jesus did. Let's continue to remember what Jonathan said, what the words in Matthew are teaching us this morning. But let's go ahead and stand and let's move and let's take this time to worship with Jesus.
Your love is great. Your love is great.
Has it been a good morning? In a room this size, I know that some of you are in a trial right now. You're at a crossroad, you're facing a challenge. Maybe it's with health, maybe it's with a job, maybe it's with your family, maybe it's your kids. There's something going on. And so I am sure that someone in this room needs prayer because of the message that we heard this morning. You're praying for signs, you're praying for answers, you're praying for provision, clarity. We have people that want to pray for you. We want to have people join you as you cry out to God to hear from him and know that he is with you. So if you need that this morning, I'm going to ask that our prayer teams go ahead and go to the platforms. They are here for you. So again, if you felt that stirring, if you need someone to just cry with you or listen to you or be with you, just to sit still with you, that's what they're there for. This is your invitation to go and be with these people. Before you leave, it's 11:40. That means you have 20 minutes left of childcare. You have 20 minutes left to connect with people, hug people, love people, just be with people. At College Heights, we're all about the community. We encourage you to get plugged in. As you leave, you can also get Sidewalk Prophet tickets, which will be coming up on December the 9th. Thank you. I needed a card. December the 9th. What an awesome morning. You were dismissed. Thanks for being with us.